So the wrong was pointed out to him. Instantly Arjuna became composed and he became an inquirer. He started asking questions to Krishna. Where was his tear? Where were the tears? And now where is he now? So the transition is always possible. So whenever we speak about these qualities, don't think that they are not cultivable. They can be cultivated. Tidiksham sahanam sarvadukhanam apradikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam sa tidiksha nigadyate. This is called forbearance. You know, this one shloka written by Shankaracharya more than 1200 years ago, it has meant something very precious for me. I always remember this. If only you can lend your heart and mind, not merely ears and eyes, and absorb this message, you will find it will bring about a thorough and a wholesome transformation in your life. The Malayalam viewers are already telling me, Swamiji, this has brought about a wholesome transformation in my life. I only feel that I must have heard you 20 years back. This is the normal response we get. So let us be very clear. Shaujam tapaha tidiksham cha. Each quality is a quality to anoint and adorn and embellish your inner personality. Maunam swadhyayam arjavam. Maunam. Always you should not be speaking. Suppose somebody says, patiently hear, be given to mauna. You may even observe half a day or a few hours of the week a certain mauna. We generally want to speak, so control your speech. That mauna is one lakshana or one virtue. Swadhyayam. Make a practice of reading or reciting something like a spiritual literature. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means what? Reading over and over again the same Shastra. Bhagavad Gita, it is not to be read just once. You know, in our ashram, there is a morning prayer. Morning prayer. In the prayer, Vishnu Sahasranama is recited one day. 1 or 2 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are recited the next day. And this recitation has been going on for decades in the ashram. You may wonder, why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? See, when you do fresh reading every time, it becomes a varietal exposure. Now we want to focus on some particular text, like Bhagavad Gita. It's a book of life. It's a book of sadhana. You can never overread it. Go on reciting. A Srimad Bhagavata exponent, a great scholar, a very austere person also, he was telling me the other day, Swamiji, we have been reading and exposing Srimad Bhagavatam for years and decades. Even now, some of the statements or revelations made there, they strike our mind only now, not earlier. What does it mean? So all these spiritual and philosophical texts, they are supposed to be read one after the other. Now we are having the Chadurmasya now. Guru Purnima marks the commencement of Chadurmasya. During the 4 months commencing from Guru Purnima, the full moon day in the month of July, all the spiritual and ascetic people are supposed to stop their travel programs and remain in their cottages or ashrams. And what are they supposed to do? They are supposed to read and recite at least once the Prasthanatraya. Primarily the Upanishads, the 11 Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. Preferably with a commentary or a bhashya. If their disciples also come to them, then they are supposed to explain it to them. And you will find, for the teacher as well as the student, another reading of the whole text will bring about a lot of additional embellishments. It is the same thing that we are reading. But here it is not merely reading. It is incorporating the message in you. That is why we call it experiential Vedanta. Now, am I explaining to you? Oh, not alone that. What is mentioned here? Shaucham, tapaha, tidikshamcha, maunam, swadhyayam, arjavam. When I explain it, it applies to my mind. Everything that I am saying, it is targeting your mind, your intelligence, your inner personality, nothing else. So it is an experiential part. I am not discussing a subject somewhere very remote. Certainly not. We are speaking about the devotee characteristics. All of you are devotees. And as devotees, how are we to live in this world? Move in this world. Speak in this world. Think, understand, interact. This is the subject of discussion. These are the qualities you should have. 28 qualities are there. Try to find out whether they are already there, how many are there, and how many are not there, and how should you cultivate them. And inwardly, you should become what? A great treasure house of virtues. Swadhyayam, arjavam, arjavam. What does it mean? Straightforwardness. No deceit should be there. Whenever you are asked a question, you answer in a straightforward manner. We hear of instances where some of the famous people described in our idihasas, puranas, etc., they went to the Guru, spoke a line in order to acquire a certain knowledge. After some time, the Guru discovered that he has spoken a lie. Immediately he disowned him and cursed him, saying that whatever I have taught you, you will not remember at the nick of the time when you want it. Why go in for this deceit? Never you should have it. Be very plain, be very clean, be very honest, and speak only whatever is there in your heart. Brahmacharyam ahimsam cha. The Swadhyaya is actually Vedic learning. And Vedic learning means, normally the Vedic learning is there. So far as we are concerned, it is Vedantic learning, the Upanishadic learning, the Bhagavad Gita learning, the Brahma Sutra learning. Brahmacharyam ahimsam cha. Brahmacharya means celibacy. See, the physical celibacy is only a means for real Brahmacharya. What is real Brahmacharya? Our mind and intelligence should start living and dwelling on the supreme reality called Brahman. That is what it should be. And as a prelude and a help to it, we practice celibacy. Celibacy is a practice not reserved for unmarried people. Don't think so. Celibacy is actually relevant to and related to only householders. Let householders be living in their house, and they should practice celibacy for many days of the month, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 weeks of the month, and progressively its duration should be more and more. If this inner spiritual splendor program continues, I will have more to say about it during the rest of the conversation of this dialogue, Nimi Navayogi dialogue itself. Brahmacharyam ahimsam cha. Ahimsa means non-hurtingness. It is not merely non-killing. We should not hurt another person physically, orally, mentally or otherwise. Our role should be one of benevolence. Be helpful, be kind, be considerate. Never hurt anybody. If you have hurt anybody, do tapasya for it. Ahimsam cha samatvam dvandva samjnayoho. Dvandva samjnayoho samatvam. This is one quality about which I think I can speak for a lot. Speak quite a lot of time. Dvandva samjnayoho. Dvandva means pair of opposites. And the plural form will be pairs of opposites. The entire world, our entire life is a conglomeration or a collection of the pairs of opposites. You know, knowledge works by comparison and contrast. Comparison and contrast. Comparison and contrast, they are also a pair of opposites. And the pair of opposites can be physical, they can be mental, they can be intellectual. What are the physical pairs of opposites? You will find something bitter is there, another sweet is there. So the bitterness and sweetness, the non-sour item and the sour item, all these can be classified as pairs of opposites. Then there are different types of experiences, happiness and unhappiness, contentment and discontent. All these are pairs of opposites. Knowledge and ignorance, day and night, man and woman, success and defeat, gain and loss, heaven and hell, the previous life, the present life and the next life. All these are included in the pairs of opposites. So in the sensory level, pairs of opposites are there. In the mental level, they are there. In the intellectual level, knowledge and ignorance, as I said, all these are coming under pairs of opposites. During our life, as long as we are interacting with the world and the objects, you will find we are subject to pairs of opposites. And in these dvandvas, he says, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu. This is how it is defined. Shita and Ushna, cold and heat, are a pair of opposites. Sukha and Dukkha are also like them. The cold is different from and opposed to heat. In the same manner, the Sukha is opposed to Dukkha. Dukkha is opposed to Sukha. There is no other definition for it. A person scolds you, you will dislike him. The same person, if he speaks to you smilingly and praises you, you will like him. So it will go on changing, like cold and heat. When you suffer from a temperature, suddenly the atmosphere will become cold. Suppose the temperature is gone, then it will become hot. So they are adjustable. And there is a method of adjusting with them, changing them. Samatvam dvandva samjnayoho. See, we are enumerating one quality after the other. In Bhagavad Gita, what did Krishna say? He enumerated 20 qualities, I said. It starts from amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam. Many of you are more exposed to Bhagavad Gita. I think much less a number will be exposed to Srimad Bhagavatam. And some people have already started telling us, or the channel people, etc., that this is a very unique exposition. We never knew that Srimad Bhagavatam contains anything like this. So in Bhagavad Gita, I wanted to draw your attention to that, particularly this portion. And you see how Sri Krishna, the same Sri Krishna, speaking in the battlefield, was also referring to similar qualities. Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyam atmavinigraha indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jaravyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam asaktiranabhishwangaha putra daragrihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatyishu. See how the two are beautifully aligning themselves. Here he says, samatvam dvandva samjnayoho. Practice the quality of samatva, being equal to, equanimity towards all the dvandvas. Here he says, samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatyishu. Every day you will have to interact with ishta and anishta. Whatever is lovable and hateable. The life itself courses through ishta and anishtas. While doing so, develop the quality of samachittada, equal-mindedness. So every day you will find the opportunity to practice this discipline or refinement of samatvam. It is there because you are coursing through ishta and anishtas. Maicha ananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratir janasamsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattvajnana artha darshanam. Finally he says, adhyatma jnana nityatvam. What does it mean? Give a place and importance in your life to spend some time at least for adhyatma jnana. See, you should not run your life, live your life, without somehow imbibing something from the spiritual horizon. What is the evaluation of life? What is the goal of life? And what is the overall discipline and refinement which I should abide by? The spiritual science alone discusses it, and it discusses only this. So you will find it is something additionally glorious to your life. You may not change anything, but incorporate this Adhyatma Jnana, Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam. You should evaluate the goal of life on the basis of the Tattva Jnana provided by our scriptures, our Upanishads, our Bhagavad Gita. I think it should become a subject of discussion within your family. You should call the children and then say, life is not whatever the senses see. It is not merely matter and money in life. There is something called peace and contentment. There is something called knowledge and greater knowledge. Knowledge itself is divided into the object and the subject. Academic education covers only the object hemisphere. The subject hemisphere is totally missed. But that is where the entire knowledge and experience constantly transpire. Why don't you make it a subject of discussion? Etadjnanamidhi proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. All these 20 qualities together constitute the entire gamut of wisdom. And whatever else you may have, without these, neglecting these, it is sheer ignorance, delusion, attachment and bondage. This is what Krishna says there. Samatvam dvandva samjnayoh. About these dvandvas, I am very emphatic. Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, a beautiful definition of life he gives. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agamapayino anityaha tan tidikshasva bharata. Arjuna's problem was, so many people would die in the battlefield and he would have to kill. So death was a nightmare for him. Sri Krishna explained to him that death is only dehantara praptihi. There is no destruction at all. The soul is indestructible. Then life alone is a problem. So he analyzes his life, analyzes human life. Matra sparshaha. In 4 letters, the definition is offered. Matra means the senses. Sparshaha means things which contact the senses, namely the objects of the world. And the entire life is matra sparshas, meaning an interaction between our senses and the objects surrounding them. For everyone it is an interaction. Whether you are rich or poor, educated or not so, married or not so, a sannyasin or a householder, for everyone you will find life is an interaction between the senses and their objects. And whenever this interaction takes place, Krishna says, Shitoshna sukha dukkhada. They always give rise to sukha and dukkha, happiness and misery, like cold and heat. Cold and heat cannot be avoided in the world. Say, moon is cold and sun is hot. Fire is hot. Generally, ice is cool. We cannot avoid it at all. The seasons and nature, they themselves produce cold and heat. Our body itself is generating heat constantly. Shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha. And what are they? Agamapayinaha. They come and go. What? Are you hearing me? They come and go. Means what? They come only to go. If you tell them not to come, they will not heed. If you tell them not to go, that also they will not heed. They are by their very nature appearing and disappearing, coming and going. and therefore anitya. They are transitory. They are not eternal. So life is an interaction. In the interaction, senses alone are on your body. The senses are constantly five. The objects are variant or variable. In spite of the numerous and endless objects surrounding you, when the interaction takes place, they become only five sensations: sound, touch, etc. And whenever these sensations take place, in the mind, sukha-dukkha's are caused. And the sukha-dukkha's emerge and subside, or they come and go. And this is a lakshana or a characteristic of the transitory. If they are transitory, what should you do? Tan tidikshasva bharata. The same quality mentioned by here. Tan tidikshasva. Learn to tolerate them. Tolerate them. Learn to forbear the sukha-dukkha's. They come only to go. They go only to re-come. You remain not going and not coming. Allow them to come and go. You have got so much of insight, inner ability, inner expanse. You know, it is in our mind that the entire world is projected. World is projected. When I see a mountain or the sea or the sky, all these are, the mind itself becomes these objects and gives me the experience. So is your mind something small? Not at all. It is bigger than the world because it perceives the world by making an imprint of the world. So such a mind you have. So can it not develop tolerance? Can it not develop forbearance? Certainly it can. And such a person is fit for liberation, he says. Now I would like to say something more about it. What is that? All the objects in this world put together, they form five sensory objects. Shabda, Sparsha, Rasa, Rupa, Gandhas. When they reach the mind, they become sukha-dukkha's. They also further disappear when you sleep. A point I always emphasize, I am never tired of showing or revealing. The entire world is thus productive of dvandvas. What dvandvas? Externally the dvandvas may be numerous, but mentally they are only two. See what Krishna says in Gita in the 15th chapter. A very important verse. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha samjnaihi gacchantya mudha padam avyayam tad. I think every one of you should learn, recite and commit to memory this verse. The other day, two small children came to our ashram. Their mother and father are working in London. And both the children are chanting a beautiful Sanskrit verse. In fact, two verses. One is from the Upanishad, another is from the Subhashita. So if you make efforts, everybody will learn. I don't know why you are becoming indifferent to enrich and empower your own children. Nirmana moha, teach them. Get it recorded. Let it be played. Listen to it at least 12, 13, 15 times. Put it in your car. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha samjnaihi. All the dvandvas which constitute the world, they finally become in your mind as experience only sukha dukkha's. These sukha dukkha's gacchantya mudha padam avyayam tad. When the mind becomes relieved of their pressure, when the sukha dukkha's are not able to delude and tense the mind, when the mind becomes free and light, in that freedom and lightness you will find you attain the supreme. Now you tell me now, is spirituality a matter of difficulty and hardship, or is it easy? I would like to put it in this way. It is coexistential with your life of any kind anywhere in the world.